What's up, people? This is another episode of Taylor Made Macrenzie Show. So, lesson for today is how to strip the floor. What I mean by stripping the floor is I was flow technician, flow tech, environmental service, housekeeping, flow technician. So anyway, first step, stripping the floor. You need to get the mop bucket. Make sure you got your mop handle. Make sure you got a mop head. You fill up the mop bucket with either degreaser, stripper, or bright speed, or you can even use Nutri-Cream. But if you stripping the floor all the way down, you're gonna need to put stripper in it. Most of the times, you don't have to fill the whole bucket up with stripper. You can just put most of the water in there, put a little bit of stripper in there. Okay? So, when I worked at BKL Medical Healing there, we use degreaser. Why? Because they have vinyl floors. Except for when you're stripping in the immersion room, you're going to use stripper. Mostly at all times. So, anyway, you got your mop bucket. Got your mop handle, got your mop head. Fill your mop bucket up, stripper, degreaser, bright speed, or Nutri-Cream. So next, you get your doodle bug. Doodle bug is that stick that has the it's not like a scraper, but it's just for the corner of the edges. You know what I'm saying? So you put the pad under there. You need to get the green pad, but most of the time when you're stripping the floor, you're gonna get the black pad that goes on the doodle bug. Or you can get the brown one. Because you got the black, you got the brown, you got the green. The green softest one. The next level up is the brown. The one after that is the black one. So now you get your side by side with your low speed. When you using a side by side, get the heaviest one. The heaviest one is good for stripping the floor when you're using strip. Now if you're using degreaser or you're using bright speed, you can get the light one. See, the light one is used for if you're trying to scrub the bathrooms out, the restrooms out. So when you scrubbing the restrooms out, you're gonna use a brush. You put the brush plate on it. So now when you're using the side by side and you actually stripping the floor, you got the plate that's actually called a brick. You put that at the bottom of it before you put it sitting on top of the plate. So once you got your side by side, you got your mop bucket, got your mop stick, mop head, water filled up. You got your side by side, got the brick that goes on the bottom of it, which you use the black or whatever. If it don't have a black brick, then you put the black brush on there. And most of the time, because they have a black brick, so make sure the manager tells you, when you let the manager know, you need the plate that actually goes on the side by side, which is the heavy one that you need to use to strip the floor in the room. Now, think about this. When you're doing a hallway and they got vinyl floors, you use the boost machine. But anyway, you want to talk about it later. Anytime, if you're doing an emergency room, most of the time, if you're doing the hallways anyway, you really need to use the boost machine anyway. To strip it down first. But then after that, if you need to go over it again, you can go with the side by side. But don't try to exactly spend most of your time trying to strip it all the way down when you can make it easier for yourself and use the boost machine first. Now you can put the black pad under that boost machine, or you can put the brown pad on there. Anyway, that's another story. Now we're gonna go straight to what I was talking about. You got your mop bucket, got your mop head, got your mop stick, you got your doodle bug with the pad, and you got your water filler in the bucket. You also got your side by side, got your pad for that. So now you need to make sure you get some sheets that are usable just for stripping floors. You get your masking tape or duct tape, whatever you want to call it. Get your duct tape. So now you can tape off where you put your sheets at. So you gotta make sure you got your wet flow signs and you got your caution tape. Why? Because you put the caution tape, you tape off the door, so when you wax the floor, now nobody walks in the room when you leave or if you leave the area. Because some people gonna want to walk in there on the floor and they see clearly that the signs are there and they just gonna continue to walk, try to go in there and get whatever they need, act like they ain't see the signs. Like some people. Anyway, whatever. So now you got your mop bucket, you got your side by side, you got your doodle bug, you need to get you a scraper You get a short handle scraper or you get your long handle scraper. It'll be easier to get a long handle scraper. Why? Because now you don't have to bend down and try to scrape. You can stand at an angle and you can scrape. So now you make sure you got 2 towels. You got your 2 sheets. We're actually 3 sheets. Why? So now you put 2 sheets in front of the door and you put a sheet over to the side to sit your side by side on. So now most of the times the people will have sheets that you are designated for the simple use of stripping the floor when you're stripping the floor. So you make sure you got your mop bucket, got your mop stick, mop head, water fill up, stripper, degreaser, bright speed, and also you got your side by side with the pad, and you also got your 3 sheets. You got your scraper, long handle scraper, short handle scraper. You got your doodle bug with the black pad or the brown pad or the green pad. And then you make sure you have baseboard cleaner. Cause why? Cause when you're stripping that floor, and if you ain't spray no baseboards down before you put that stripper down, and now that stripper splashes up on the baseboard. Now when you get ready to mop the floor and you still hit the mop with on the baseboard, it's still the stripper gonna show up. So that's why the purpose of using the stripper on the baseboard. So when you're using degreaser or bright speed, it won't be as bad. It won't really show up. But when you're using that stripper, it will always show up, because simple fact, that's the purpose of the baseboard cleaner. So now, before you got all your equipment, you got everything you need your wet vac. Now you need a wet vac. The wet vac needs to have an extension cord. Why? Because now the wet vac, if it don't have no extension cord, how can you plug it from point A to point B and go around the room? So alright, you got that. Make sure that it's empty already. So now you don't have to go in the room and then come right back out without actually finishing wet vac in the room. So now you got your wet vac, you got everything you need. So now the first thing you're gonna do is go in. You need dust mop and a broom. Dust mop, broom, dustpan. So you go in, take everything out of the room, and then you go in, you dust mop the floor. Once you dust mop the floor, you sweep everything, sweep it up, and now you go around and what you can do is actually mop the floor one time. You can just mop it light. You ain't gotta mop it heavy, just mop it one time. You know what I'm saying? And then you turn the fan on and make sure it dry real quick. You ain't gotta make sure it really dry. Just turn the fan on, make sure it's going, circulating in the room, and make sure you go and you can turn the air conditioner on cool. Or whatever you want to turn on. But I would rather turn on AC. But anyway, whatever, that's another level. Anyway, so now you go in the room and make sure you also have a wax wand. The wax wand is way easier to use than using a mop. Why? Because a mop, it takes more effort and you have to actually pay attention to what you miss. So if you got a wax wand, which when you got your wax wand, it comes with a backpack. You also have the wax with that. Make sure you got some wax with it that goes inside the backpack. That's actually hooks up to the wax wand, and make sure your wax wand is clean, because if your wax wand is not clean, no wax is going to come out of where the wax wand handle is at. That's attached to the end of it. We're attached to the tube that actually attached to the handle. It won't come out if the wax is dried up in it. And the purpose of you rinsing it out after you're done with it is so the wax don't dry up inside the wand. So if the wax dries inside the wand, then you have to take the wand apart and clean the valve out. So to avoid having to do that, you make sure you rinse it out after you get done. So now you need a 200-ounce Coca-Cola bottle or Sprite bottle. So now you can hook up to the wax wand and clean it out. But I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Anyway, now you got all your equipment. You just mop the room out, you sweep everything up, and you mop the floor one time. Then you turn the fan on, and now you go back and you spray the baseboards. Spray the baseboard with baseboard cleaner or baseboard strip. So now, then you go in your room, take your mop bucket, bring it in the room, make sure you got your wet floor sign set up. So now you got your sheets down. And you tape the door off. Tape it off half a foot outside the door. So now you got enough room to work with. So you tape it half a foot outside the door. Tape it off. put the sheets down there. You got your 2 sheets at the door, and your 1 sheet over there to the side, close to the door. So now you put your side by side right there. You got your side by side seam right there by the door. You ain't gotta go far. You got your wet back seam right there right next to it, so nothing don't drip on the floor. So so now, anyway, you go inside the room with your mop bucket. You mop the floor. Actually, you bring the side by side in them once you put water on the first part of the floor, on the top of the room. Then you bring your side by side in there. Put your black plaid on the floor. Once you put your black pad on the floor and put your side by side right on top of that, now you can put water on the rest of the room, rest of the floor in the room, and go all the way out. Now, see, that way you ain't put no stripper or no degreaser or no bright speed on the bottom of your wheels, and you already got it sitting in the room. Cause if you put the water down all on the floor and then try to roll and slide your way in and end up falling, who you gonna blame? So anyway, so now you got side by side in the room. You already put the water down on the floor. It's good. So now all you gotta do is spend about 30 minutes stripping the floor. You can do one side at a time, or however you want to do it. Spend 30 minutes stripping the floor. Better off to start at the corners. All of the corners will go all the way around. After you get done 30 minutes, you stripping the floor. Now you go back, and before you even before you even bring the wet back in, make sure you hit your corners with the doodle bug. So now you hit your corners with the doodle bug, and now after that you wet back the room out. You end up going in there. After you wet back the room, you can actually go around and actually mop the edges, or go ahead and mop the whole room so it don't dry up. Cause if it dry up, you're gonna be in there scraping. So now you go ahead and mop the room one time, turn your fan on, and then after it dry one time, you can go ahead and scrape your corners with your long scraper or your short hand scraper. But when you really want to use a long hand scraper, anyway, to make it easy for yourself. So after you do that, you got your corners looking decent. Now you mop it, change your mop water, and you mop head one more time, and mop it one more time, and then turn the fan on, let it dry, and then go back around and make sure you can take a towel with your long hand scraper and go up against the edges of the corners. Go around the corners one more time and make sure you got the corners real good, and then make sure you don't mop. Make sure you already, when you don't mop the whole room, make sure you mop the baseboards too. So now you good to go. All you gotta do is make sure you get outside that door right there. That foot outside the door. Make sure you don't hit that part with the scraper and get around the door right there with the scraper. So get all the black marks right there. Get all the black marks right there. You be good to go. And then all you gotta do is go in there and lay the wax down. Lay the wax down. And when you got that one, you squeeze from the top. You squeeze from the door all the way back up to the top. Go to the left. Go to the left squeeze and go back down towards the door a little bit, then come back up, and then you squeeze, and then you start go from left to right, left, squeeze halfway, come back, squeeze halfway, come back, squeeze halfway. But when you always go back, you push up against the wall, because if you go in a wave, you might miss it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can go in a wave, but also push it back up against the wall and then come back. And then you put minimal, if you ain't got no time, 3. Most, 5. No more than that. That's at the most. Sometimes you can get away with 3 maybe. The minimum most time is 4. But no more than 5 in the room. That's how you strip the floor.